Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is hautemesstom. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we're going to be doing a declutter. I'm just going to go through the whole collection today. I don't have any big goals or anything like that when it comes to this declutter, but I do just want to go through things right now. I'm feeling just like a little bit overwhelmed by my collection right now. And I just like want to touch everything, see everything, look at everything with you. If you are new to my channel is all about, oh my God, my dog's going downstairs. Right, say hello to the people. Yeah, say hello. They're up there. There's a riot head for you. If you are new here, my channel is all about loving my makeup collection as it currently is. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to make sure that I actually love my collection. So if that kind of content sounds good to you, if you love makeup, but you try really hard not to spend too much and love your collection as it is, that's what I do here. I would love to have you subscribe. I am also on Patreon if you'd like to support me there. And you could help me by liking this video. Every time I do one of these, I like look at my floor and I go, wow, I really do ignore that most of the time. And then I do one of these videos and I'm like, wow. So what happened here was I was using black eyeliner. The black eyeliner fell out of the tube. I didn't know where the black eyeliner was. I wasn't thinking. I rolled back on my rolly chair and that's what happened. Well, luckily, I live in my brother's house. He owns it. But he was like, I always have had intentions of changing the flooring in this room anyway. I can't wait for there to be a beautiful flooring here that isn't something that I will be ruining. Okay, so what I want to do with you is first and foremost, you know what? You're just gonna have to live with this. There's no good way for me to do this without doing it like this. Okay, so first things first. I actually have a bunch of stuff on my vanity. I'm gonna do some clickety-clackety ASMR for you. I'm gonna put it all away, and then we're gonna get started. I'm sorry if I get my feet in any of these shots. Like, I sincerely do, but unfortunately, I think that's just gonna happen. That's just gonna be something that we're gonna have to live with, okay? I think before we get started, this isn't really gonna be a swatching video unless I find it necessary for... Oh my God, I need better lighting. Hold on. So as I said, this isn't gonna be like a swatching video or anything like that unless I deem it necessary. Before we even jump into the drawers, I decluttered some stuff off camera. Things I'm going to talk about right here have already been decluttered from my collection. And so but the way they got decluttered is going to come out a little bit further down the line. So I have the Jackie Aina palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's a beautiful palette. I just don't reach for it that often. And that is the same for the Colored Rain Queen of Hearts palette. It's just really beautiful. Really enjoy it. But I just am not reaching for it enough to like warrant keeping it around. And then lastly is the Tom Ford quad in Badass, which I know a lot of people don't really like that much, the people who got it. I actually got on with it kind of well, but I have the Isamaya palette and it fills like a lot of the needs that I filled with this palette. And I also have a box that's unrelated to this stuff that I think I want to declutter something from. So obviously I'm like filming some content like way out in advance because I actually didn't decide to declutter this yet, but I have decided in my heart that I'm going to be decluttering it. And it is the Hourglass bronzer in Diffuse Bronze Light. This is like a bronzer that I think is really good for people who are really concerned about messing up their bronzer, but I used it a lot during Messmas, and then I haven't really used it that much this year at all. And so I think that someone else will get a lot better use out of it than myself. Okay, I'm gonna open the first drawer. I'm gonna zoom you out just a skosh so you can see the whole drawer. My top drawer is a bit of a mishmash of things. It's like things I use really regularly, things that I haven't decided whether or not they're moving into my collection or not. So there probably won't be much movement here, but let us walk through what's going on. So the Isamaya palette is up here. Obviously, I really like this. This is newer to my collection, but if you've seen a lot of my content recently, you'll know that I'm very into this palette. Here's what it looks like for those of you who haven't seen. I have plenty of content about this right now, and I'm still reaching for it regularly. So that's why it's living in the chop drawer. Also, this three-dimensional design, you know, is a little bit inhibitive as far as putting it in my other drawer. My Gucci palette is also up here. So this is the Gucci palette Beauté d'Yeux, which I really love. And I don't like storing this with my other eyeshadows either. So I kind of have moved past the if it's really annoying to store thing, because I make annoying exceptions for this to store, but this is certainly not going anywhere. And again, if anyone wants to buy me the new one, you are welcome to, but I will not be buying it for myself. Some SPF that I've been trying, so I mean it's gonna stick around. This is my Vanity SPF. I also have SPF in my bathroom where I wash my face. I just like to have it in both places in case I didn't put SPF on upstairs. I will put it on down here. Of my two SPFs though, I do prefer this one. It's very, very nice. But I feel like I'm not the biggest SPF snob. I haven't tried enough to have like an incredible amount of preference when it comes to that. So this is the Pat McGrath Divine Rose highlighter. And it is really, really pretty. I do think it might be a skosh dark for my skin tone, but I am not ready to like let go of this yet, and I'm just gonna put it back in the highlighter drawer where it belongs later. But it's not a highlight I reach for often, I have to be honest. I just feel like I don't do like rosy looks very often, so I don't really like choose this as my highlighter. This is from, I put this in here from whenever I did the video of becoming Michelle Wong. But this tool shouldn't live in here. The Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base, I am almost to the bottom of it. So I'm feeling very good about that, feeling confident that I will be painting this probably sometime in the near future. This I got in PR from Ritual de Fille, and I have been testing it out, and I'm not done testing it, so it can use a stay. This is the Pat McGrath Translucent, or Light 1 setting powder. This is just the setting powder that I'm using right now. It's like not my favorite, but it's fine. I guess you're gonna get like slightly mini reviews of everything. I guess I don't have to do that. Chantecaille blurring powder. I think if you know anything about me, you know that this isn't gonna go anywhere. I do think I'm about to hit pan though. I think that's what we're seeing in those circles, which to me is wild. I like never pan anything, but with my new focus on loving my collection as it is, it has been happening more regularly. This Rhodile powder, I think I don't want to repress it anymore because I just keep dropping it after I repress it, and then it explodes and then it gets messy. But that feels wasteful. I'll repress it. This is like my glitter removal tape. I have a bunch of it. My friend bought it for me so I could do really sharp eyeliner looks. And I haven't done that with it. I just have removed glitter with it. The Isamaya Rubber Lash, that I use that all the time. It's my only mascara I have. A beautiful subscriber sent me this Smoke Reflect from Auric. It's the shade Ego, which is like the silver. I'm still testing this, but I'm fairly certain it's going to move into my collection. I just don't know what drawer I'm going to put it in. So I think it might continue to live up here for a while. This is not where my tools live. I don't think I'm ever going to use this, but this is definitely skincare, so it doesn't even really belong in here. Beauty blender is going to stay. I do need to get a new beauty blender. And this is actually what I spent my August budget on. This is the Westman Atelier Vital Skin Pressed powder, so I'm still testing it out. It is going interestingly, I will say that. I don't feel like cleaning. That wasn't really the goal of this, so you're just gonna have to disregard the dog hair in here, and we're just gonna move along to the next drawer. This is where my tools live, and like liners and glitters and all of that kind of thing. I don't really have much going on in here right now that I think I want to declutter. I'm gonna get rid of this. This has been open for a really long time. It's a mini of the Pat McGrath Fetishized mascaras. I don't need this around anymore. Like my eye primers are good. These are new. I'm still playing around and testing those. Actually, I'm gonna move these in my testing drawer, so I remember to utilize them. But yeah, I actually don't think that we're gonna make any judgment calls in this particular drawer. Everything's good here. Everything's safe. This is like, it's like so messy. Okay, let me remove this reflective thing so that's less annoying. I think I'm actually gonna declutter these. I'm gonna give these to my friend David. These are 2 Krylon TV paint sticks. I have, this is just the regular white. This isn't the TV white because that's a different color. And then this is like a purple foundation, and David, my friend David, does drag. So I think he'll appreciate having me, although, hold on, that one smelled. No, okay, it smelled like it's supposed to smell, but I got a little bit nervous. So yeah, I am gonna pass those on to him. I have another thing that I can use if I ever really want to go there with looks, but I think it's time for me to like let go of the fantasy that those are things that I need in my collection, whereas like David will probably use them in a handful of months because he does drag quite a bit. Fix Plus, never go without. This is a full one. I have another one on my vanity, but this, does this close whenever that's like that? No, it doesn't. That's why I was like, it's sideways for a reason, but I'll pull things out as I like talk about them and touch them. I probably should just try to finish this. This is the O2 Mist and Fix from Makeup Forever. It's like the same thing as Fix Plus, except not from MAC. This is my Surratt Dewdrop foundation, and I actually have a backup of it, which I'm not mad about. The thing is, I bought the backup because I really thought I was almost done with this, but you can't, with this packaging, you cannot tell how far along you are because it's opaque, and it's not like, it's just gonna be a surprise, and I never wanted to be caught off guard, so these are both staying. I also have the backup of the Chantecaille powder, but this was more out of, at the time, what I thought was a necessity. It was a limited edition product, and it's in this limited edition packaging, but I literally use the blurring powder almost every time I do my makeup, so this isn't gonna go anywhere. I will get to it eventually, and that is okay with me. Overall, I am not someone who advocates for backups. This is the Air Atelier face primer. It is like a slightly mattifying primer. And I actually don't hate this, but I think I'm kind of past the point of trying to use things up out of obligation. And that's what I feel like that would be doing. And perhaps one of my friends could get something out of this that I am not, because whenever I reach for a primer, it's not this one. If you notice any of my foundations missing, it's because they're in another box, but if I already went through that box, and the only thing from that box right now that's leaving me is the Hourglass bronzer. So the Chantecaille Future Skin Gel Foundation is not going anywhere. I hold on to this. I use it occasionally, but not all the time, but it's still worth keeping. And this is my backup loose powder. It is just Laura Mercier's translucent setting powder. I like to use this in the Pat McGrath when I'm reviewing foundations because I find that they are good setting powders, but they don't really there's not like a lot of coverage. There's not a lot of like other things that they do. So I like to hold on to this for that. However, I might just buy a powder that I like more than this because it's like, I don't dislike it, but don't love it. And I feel like my collection is worth having like only things I love in it. This is the Dr. Jart BB Dissapore. I really like this as a primer and like a primer with some coverage. That's kind of how I use it. I mentioned this in many videos, but one of my coworkers at Sephora used this as a primer. So if I'm doing like a full glam situation, I will like green color correct. I will use this on top of the green color corrector, and then I will also use foundation on top of it. But I will use much less foundation whenever I use this as a base because this has a lot of coverage itself. I like this lipstick. I just hate that it doesn't fit in one of these lipstick things, but this is one of the Fenty lip paints. I really like it. Let me talk about my concealers before we get too far. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm on a journey. One of these isn't even here. I have a third one that I have been working on all year that I haven't finished. However, I really like this concealer, so I will be keeping these as backups, but those were given to me for free. I did not buy those. They were either gratis from Sephora or my friend Lena also gave me one, or both of those. So I'm not really sure how, but no worries on those will get used eventually. This is my only green color corrector, so I'm gonna be getting rid of that. If you were here for Messmas last year, you know that the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Concealer is one of my favorite things. So this will not be going anywhere. I will be saying goodbye to this Pat McGrath concealer. It's too full coverage for me. I, as you know, barely wear concealer as it is, and mine, it's It's like has some discoloration in here. I think I'm just gonna actually dispose of this. I just don't think I used it fast enough. It's just looking a little bit weird, and I don't feel comfortable passing it on, and I don't want to use it up. So that's it for concealers. Lipsticks. I'm going to remove all the things I know that I want to keep, and then we'll go from there. So this is new. I'm gonna just move them to the other side drawer. That's new. The Merit Signature, I'm not anywhere. I'm not sure if again, that one. Just saying, Caution Medicine, Medicine. Omnia is saying, saying. So I have a couple reds I would like to swatch and kind of make a decision from there on whether or not I'm going to keep them. I have a couple of nudes. So this is from Pat McGrath. This was out of one of those glitter lip kits, but I feel like that's going to look a lot like Omi. It does. I don't need both of them. And I like Omi a lot. I wear it quite a bit, and it is a little bit darker, like Omi's a little bit darker, but I think essentially they are the same thing. That lipstick is still newer to me, so I think that will be fine to pass along. I'm just gonna swatch my reds, and then I will report back to you about what I feel about them. So those are the 3 reds. I was concerned about them being a lot more similar than this. They're different enough. In my world, they're different enough. I know in some people's world that would be too many reds. So this is also a red. I think I'm just gonna keep the reds. I like to have a clear gloss, and then I like my Pat McGrath glosses, so I don't think I'm going to get rid of any of them at this time. Oh, I still have this? Oh, I'll get rid of this. I don't really like this. This is Glowing Garnet. This is one of like the pigmented Opulus lip glosses. You may recall that I'm feeling some kind of way about this during Messmas, and I haven't reached to wear it since then. So I have a friend who would love to have that. Not much happening lipstick declutter wise, but something. I might come back to these reds. I might try sussing them out just a little bit more. Really. Okay, this is like my blush and highlight drawer. I'm gonna start with my face palettes. As annoyingly large as this is, I have been playing with it a lot more than I was last year. I think you can tell by the amount of just like, it's not the most used thing in my collection, but you can definitely tell it has had more hands in it than it did whenever I did my Messmas project last year. So this is definitely sticking around. I like these quite a bit. It's just, I hate this packaging. It could have just been so much sleeker. Even if I was a professional makeup artist, honestly. And like, look at how grubby and dirty my little fingers are when they've gone into that blush. Okay, but I am keeping that. I finally wised up and like depotted some face things. So these are from my Lunatic Cosmetic Labs palette. These are the only 2 shades I really used, so I'm holding on to them in here. This is a Kevyn Aucoin contour. I actually don't like this bronzer. I tried it not that long ago, so I'm just gonna get rid of that, but I really haven't used this highlight yet. But I am making better progress and use on these in this format versus the Lunatic Cosmetic Labs and the separate Kevyn Aucoin palette. So this is working well for me. Whenever I reach for my contour, at least I'm seeing these highlights because this is like what I'm pulling out when I'm using contour. I think it's time for me to say goodbye to this. I just don't reach for it that often. It's not that I even don't like it. The problem is I actually don't like the blushes, and I really don't care for this highlighter. I've gotten on with that bronzer much better since Messmas, but I actually have come to the conclusion that whenever it comes to the ambient powders, they actually make my makeup look pretty heavy after a certain period of time. On camera, it always looks really good, but I don't think it looks as good in person, so I might have just be using too much. But the only thing that I would really want to keep this for is potentially this yellow one, which I use under my eyes sometimes, and it looks really nice. I'm not keeping this just for one powder, and so I'm just going to pass it on because I know that people will like that. I'm going to keep this. I really like this. I don't reach for it too often, but I am making some progress in that bronzer, which is good. And I feel good about that. Teresa, if you know Teresa is Dead, she's really right about the Burberry highlighters. They are like next level. They're really, really good. And I really like these blushes because they don't read so pink, even though they are like pink and mauve-y. My Tom Ford bronzer is not going anywhere. I have been wearing actually like powder bronzers quite a bit this summer. And when I say I'm wearing a powder bronzer, it's always this one. And I am almost getting that logo off there. I'll be really pleased when that happens. I really have been enjoying seeing progress. Oh, here's something we can do. I think you'll enjoy this. Ooh, I always forget to take those off. So there you go. Some I guess, peely porn for you. Just gonna start grabbing things. The Chanel bronzer isn't going anywhere. A bunch of either my hair, dog hair, or bristle hair has ended up in it. So that's kind of gross, and I should just take the time to pick those out, but I'm not. And it's my bronzer, and I can do what I want, okay? I'm gonna just reach for things that I know I want to keep. The Fenty Diamond Balm, I'm gonna definitely keep. It's really nice, except for this. Oh, it worked. This bottom thing, you know what's so funny? I was watching old Hannah videos and I realized that it happened to hers too. I think I might just like super glue it or something back in, but I like this. It's gonna stick around. This is Desert Orchid from Pat McGrath. This is my favorite powder blush I have. And I mean that shade-wise. The formula is nice as well, but this color is particularly on my skin tone. Very beautiful and transformative, and I actually really, really love it. It's excellent. West Atelier. It's my only vibrant pink blush like this, and I'm not going to get rid of it. This is the West Atelier Nectar highlighter, and it's very, very lovely. I reach for it quite a bit. At Night from Hourglass is a really, really lovely brick red blush. I don't reach for it too often, but it is too pretty to get rid of, and I will probably be wearing it a lot coming up in the fall months. That's when she really shines. I love this highlighter. This is the Tarte Twinkle Volume 2 palette. The two highlighters on the left are so, so perfect for me. I have no business being in this one. This is like why I hate face palettes. However, these two highlighters are really it. Hopefully you can see there's like, these are maybe my only two powder highlighters that have like visible denting in them. And I actually bought this around, my friend Tiffany also bought it at the same time as me. And we both really love these highlighters. I don't know what Tarte did. I don't know what magic is in these because like I don't really care about Tarte otherwise, but these highlighters are really it for us. My Phytosurgeons Skin Spark in Smolder is literally not going anywhere. Phytosurgeons has the best cream blush formula. There you go. Now you know. I will also be keeping the Milk Flex highlighter in Lit. They do not make this anymore, and that's a shame. I feel very similarly about this that I do those Tarte highlighters, but this is like not for the faint of heart, but also you can't buy it anymore. So I guess there's no cause for concern if anyone wanted that. Sorry, you can't have it. This is the Fenty Cream bronzer in Amber. I use it every time I do my makeup in order to finish it up. And actually this should be in my frequently grabbed for drawer because don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The bronzer, I think we all know that Kiss of Copper will honestly be pried out of my cold dead hands. I love that blush so much. I'm just gonna go through, I'm gonna keep all of these. There's Lunaris. These are the Ritual Defy highlighters. This is the Dream. I think this one was actually limited edition. I don't think they make this one. The Chimera they brought back. It's permanent now, and I really love that. The High Priestess. Really pretty. The Alchemist. I think the only highlighter I've ever actually hit pan in. Can you believe? Phosphine, Moon Pillar, and the Fawn. Those are all staying in my collection. If you're new here, those are my favorite highlighters. I do think it's time for me to pass on MAC's Show Gold. It reminds me of one of my friends. It was like her favorite highlighter for a while, and it is a really pretty highlighter, but I just am not reaching for it. And I just need to be honest with myself. I really only use the Ritual Defy highlighters and then like a select other few highlighters. And this just isn't one of them. And honestly, I can just give it to her and she'll be living. So honestly, I can pass that on to her. I really love this highlighter. Honestly, it's probably something I should declutter, but I will not ever because of the packaging. But I do wear it. But just a little bit more sporadically than some other things. I have been really enjoying these Jouer blushes. Here's the deal. When it comes to blushes, I think I just need to start grabbing some like more neutral things. And if I'm gonna buy a cool toned blush, I had to be really particular because while I think these blushes are beautiful, they're more of a means to an end for me because I don't have that many cool tone blushes. In fact, these are, of the 3 I have, this is 2 of them. So that's why they get to really stay. And the formula is really nice. I have a feeling that those won't be a forever part of my collection under any circumstances. The Endy in Bloom palette is not going anywhere. I really like it. This is my only really bright, punchy kind of like coral shade. So this is Electric Bloom. I did declutter one of mine and I don't remember what the shade was, but I ended up keeping an Hourglass blush over it, but that content will come out soon enough and you will see what happened. I just wore this the other day. This is really pretty, so I'll be keeping that. So I think the reality of this is that I'm just gonna keep Wasp, and it's mostly for the color, but I don't find myself really reaching for these Nectar Pigment Balms from Ritual de Fille too often. I'm gonna swatch this and then I'm gonna be like, but why would I get rid of that? It really would be between one of the two, and I do think I like this Fenty one better. I don't wear Snapdragon. I'm going to pass that on. I do wear Wasp because it's yellow and different. And then I like this Fenty one, so while we're here, I'll just keep it. I already talked that I was going to keep this earlier, so no need to worry about that there. And the Tower 28 blush, I really like it, but I am intimidated by it all the same. That's really special. That's really something. Honestly, is it for the lips too? Oh, I should try wearing it on the lips. I think I really like that on the lips. I mean, I like it on the cheek too. I just wiped it on my leg. You're just gonna have to deal with it, okay? Me and this highlighter in a constant battle about whether it's gonna go bad before I finish it up or if I will finish it up before it goes bad. But I do wear this quite often. It's really beautiful. It's just, you know, even though it's not a lot of product, it's a lot of product whenever you have so many products. Trophy wife. Trophy wife. I have worn it since Messmas, so I do make the effort to wear it whenever I have something warm, really warm feeling on the eyes. So I will keep it. It is one of those ones that's always like kind of on the contention of leaving, but I'm gonna re-up on this. I'm gonna put the mic so you can hear the clickety clacks better. This is just a pre-made, well, this is on palette. I was duping the vibes, so these just need to go back in to where they came from. I think what's the best course of action is to just like go through them, open them, see how they make me feel. I will pull out this one. I know I'm not gonna get rid of it. This is the Club Nebula palette, the collaboration with Kaleidos and Angie. And this was sent to me by my YouTube friend, The Beauty Beatdown, Kristen. So this isn't going anywhere, and I have been enjoying playing with some fun colors. It's really, really pretty. I'm gonna go through my Pat McGraths. This one's not going anywhere. It's maybe one of my favorites. Oh, this one's definitely not going anywhere either. This is the Midnight Sun palette, and it is actually my favorite Pat McGrath palette I own. I really like this one too. My first Pat McGrath love. Mothership 3, which I'm still spending more time with. I do like it. I wish this was anything but the color that it was. And that would make me happy. Every time I use this, I really, really enjoy it. And I seem to always use it when I'm doing a look for camera, and it always looks really pretty. And I do like using some of these eyeshadows as blushes as well whenever I am using it. Unfortunately, I do think I have my Pat McGrath collection to where I want it to be at this juncture. Hindash Beautopsy isn't going anywhere. The Angie and Odin's Eye Hella palette, not going anywhere. My feelings have only grown more fond for this palette as I continue to use it and enjoy it. And if you watch my content, I did get hard pan in one of them, but I just used tape to take it out, and it has been working well since. I think it was from all the finger swatching I was doing when I first got it. The Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. You'll be hard pressed to find me decluttering a Natasha Denona palette, not because of the prestige of Natasha Denona, but I mostly reach for these whenever I'm building my own palettes because, you know, you can pop these out. So I view these more as singles, but I do utilize them as palettes as well. But utilitarianly, I use these as singles more so than like thinking about them as palettes. The palette, I broke my no-buy for the gold palette. Not going anywhere. As you can see, the hands have gotten in there quite a bit. The Antiquity palette from Noctex, I also view this as single shades. I don't really like the shimmer formula, but their mattes are really, really nice. And I often reach for these whenever I'm building my own palettes. The Grand Pro one also is something I view as singles for when I'm building my own palettes. In fact, there's one out right now, but I almost never actually utilize this as a palette. Unlike the Natasha Denona ones, I never once utilized this as just its own palette, which I should do. This year I wanted to do March Madness, and I like just kind of wanted to use this palette the whole time. But then I don't really remember what happened, but something happened where I didn't end up doing March Madness, and I don't really know if I have the real answer as to why that is. These are all single shades from Cliona or other things, but those aren't going anywhere. My Natasha Denona 28 pan palettes, my brown one took a tumble. But also, you know, I utilize these as singles as well. And then I also have the Blue Purple Way. I think if I were to do everything all over again, I probably wouldn't really buy this one, but I like some of the shades in here a lot, and I'm happy to have them. Like, I don't really use silvers a lot, but I really love the silvers in here. Like, they make me want to use them in these like taupey shades. And then this shade over here is like really nice. Although I'm fairly certain if you have this palette, I'm sure that this is maybe driving you a little bit mad. I'm fairly certain that none of my Natasha Denona palettes have even all the right shades in them, let alone in the right place. My Adept palette is just full of single shadows, so I don't think I feel like decluttering single shadows. I recently went through some of them off camera. My Teresa is Dead palette, I utilize those more as singles too. And I still have the packaging, but I think this is a better way for me to think about them as opposed to using them as a palette. But I think it's a really cool color story, but I didn't really use that color story as its own color story. My Victoria Beckham Smoky Eye Brick, I just used this the other day. I'm always delighted to use it. It's lovely. Tom Ford in African Violet. Really, really pretty. Always enjoy using that as well. My little Chantecaille Butterfly Eye Quartet. It's not going anywhere. The Coral palette. The Camel palette. Again, with these are more of like a utilitarian single situation, but I really love the Coral palette. I will wear that on its own. Although I'm not really sure what happened to the corner of this red shade. I don't know why she leapt out. My Natasha Denona mini palettes, which I utilize, and I don't need these to be singles. I like these color stories. And then these Viseart palettes, these mini guys, I utilize these mostly as singles, but I do occasionally use this one as its own color story. And I do the same with this one. The big one I really don't, but these two I do. So really not much to get rid of eyeshadow palette wise other than the two that I mentioned up top. But I'm gonna put everything back. Can you see me? How do I look? I guess I could zoom you out just a skosh. Thank you so much for watching this declutter. This is what I look like today. I didn't really want to be on camera, but then I made the brave and bold decision to do so, to do the outro. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new here and you enjoyed this isn't my most personality-based content, but it was something that was necessary. I was feeling the need to do it. I got rid of some things that I needed to get rid of, and I'm feeling really good about it. So I'd love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. And I think I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video, but if you could vote for me for Best of Pittsburgh, that's all linked down below. All of the things that I'm asking you to do. If you haven't done it yet, I would really appreciate if you could do it. I'm on Instagram if you want to follow me there, and I'm also on Patreon if you would like to support me there. But I think that's it. Thank you, Hoties, for watching this video. Remember to follow your Hote, and you will find me. I appreciate you all. I'll see you in my next video. My hands are a little bit busy. Pretend they're together. The red.